Remember when you were younger and there was always that one kid in class who claimed that their uncle worked at Nintendo and they knew how to get the Triforce, or they knew when Mario 65 was coming out, or they knew when Nintendo's new system, the Nintendo 96, was going to be released? Do you remember when I was that kid who had the uncle that worked for Nintendo? All right, maybe I wasn't that kid, but apparently everyone had an uncle that worked at Nintendo. And this is a game about that. Now, I have to give a bit of a disclaimer. I actually don't know what kind of game this is. I kind of do. Like, it's a text kind of game. But I want to give you guys a warning. There's some deeply psychological themes, whatever that means. So if you can't handle things that are potentially disturbing or weird, then, well, you know, just keep your finger on the X button, because I don't know what to expect. I don't know how this is going to work. But this is the uncle who worked for Nintendo. All right. You are 11 years old. Who is your best friend's name? Dave, I guess. Your best friend Dave has invited you to a sleepover at his house this weekend. You've been friends since the first grade, so asking your mom is basically only a formality. On Friday night, you're home for a few hours, long enough to pack and get in a fight with your younger sister, pack some more, and watch some TV. At 6 sharp, you're standing on the sidewalk outside Dave's house while your mom idles in her car nearby. She leans out the window to you. "You behaving yourself okay?" she says, "as always. I'll be at work, but if anything happens, you call me." "Okay, Mom. I'll pick you up tomorrow at 3, she says, again as usual. But then she pauses, looking up at the sky, which has been overcast throughout the day. "If you play outside," she adds, "be careful. It's probably going to rain." After you part, your mom drives down the street, disappearing around the corner. You turn back to Dave's house. The lights inside are glowing warmly. You can see Dave waving at you from his bedroom on the second floor. Head inside. It is 6 p.m. Dave's mom meets you inside. "Hello," she says. "Dinner will be ready in just a few minutes, but you can drop stuff off in the den. You and Dave are camping out there tonight." "Cool!" You drop your sleeping and overnight bags in the corner of the den and then pause to take a look around. Behind the couch, your grandfather clock is ticking softly. Through a set of patio doors on the far side of the room, you can see the sky is just as gray as it was when your mom left. Framed pictures line the walls, and over the dark fireplace hangs a monstrous pair of antlers from a buck that Dave's dad shot years ago. Getting such a vivid picture of the uncle that works at Nintendo. And of course, there is the big screen TV. Sometimes it makes you uncomfortable how much nicer Dave's house is than yours. Anyway, you drop your sleeping and overnight bags in the corner of the den and then pause to look around. Behind the couch, your grandfather clock is ticking softly. Through a set of patio doors on the far side of the room, you can see the sky is just as gray as it was when your mom left. Framed pictures line the walls, and over the dark fireplace hangs a monstrous pair of antlers from the buck that Dave's dad shot years ago. Of course, there's the big screen TV. Dave enters the room while you weren't paying attention, and now he stands in the doorway smiling expectantly. "Are you ready for dinner?" he asks. "Sure or yeah?" "Sure." Dinner passes quickly. Tonight's meal is spaghetti and meatballs. One of Dave's favorite meals, as his mother points out while piling a helping onto your plate. Dave's father cracks a beer and jovially interrogates you about how much trouble you and Dave are getting into at school. Dessert is heaping bowls of ice cream drizzled in chocolate sauce. You can't even finish yours. Cracks a beer. Wait, that wasn't beer at all. That's a glass of lemonade. Why would you even think it was a beer? Dave's father doesn't drink alcohol. You're quite certain of that fact. Now you've remembered it. Well, whatever. Dinner passes quickly. The grandfather clock in the den chimes. You go along now, says Dave's mom, smiling from her side of the table. We'll clean up in here. Let's go get the TV ready, says Dave. The two of you leave the dining room and head upstairs. Dave's room is immense. In fact, it looks like a bunch of squiggly white dots. You stay in the den because the TV is larger there, but there's a sizable one, flush with the wall opposite the full-sized bed. We'll take the 64 down first, says Dave, heading towards his TV and opening the entertainment cabinet center cabinet. It is his prerogative, of course. He gets to choose what to play first, usually. But as Dave begins unhooking the cords of the N64 from the TV, you catch a sight of the other things he has in there. All the major stuff, an old SNES, a PlayStation, a Dreamcast, but some other things too. Things you don't recognize. A large black box with green highlights, a small purple one, a strange white and yellow tower with what looks like gloves resting on hooks on either side, a compact white cone. What are those? Dave looks at the clutter in the cabinet. Oh, yeah, he says. They're pretty cool. I can't show them to you, though. They're still secret. I promised my uncle. Of course, you suddenly remember his uncle. The uncle who works for Nintendo. They're playing Star Fox. In the corner, the grandfather clock is ticking softly. Through a nearby set of patio doors you can hear. See, it's getting quite dark. Framed pictures line the wall. You walk around the perimeter of the den, inspecting the pictures idly. Most of them are family portraits from years past, Dave cradled lovingly between his mother and father, and any one of the three on their own. A happy, tidy family. Look for pictures of Dave's uncle. You don't find any. Not one. The only pictures here are of Dave and his parents. You don't know why, but that makes you feel uneasy. Time passes. Dave is parked in front of the large TV playing something on the N64. Talk to Dave. What would you like to talk to Dave about? School. Games. Definitely games. For a while, you and Dave talk about the game on the TV. It's not one you're familiar with. Dave explains the elaborate systems in some detail. An hour passes. The clock chimes. You are in the den. Watch Dave. Dave decides you should play the next game alone. It's pretty boring. You're at a party having a conversation with a man in a business suit, but for some reason you can't move the camera up to see his mouth. He's always smiling. He tells you a story about how people always mistake him for someone else. Did you figure it out? Asks Dave. Once the man in the game has apparently stood up and left the conversation. Figure what out? Dave laughs. I guess not, he says, before putting his choice of game into the N64. You realize you've played for quite some time. The clock chimes. You are in the den. Dave's mother bustles into the room, holding a large ceramic bowl filled with popcorn under her arm. How are you kids doing? She asks. Good, says Dave, his eyes not moving from the television. I hope you're having fun, says Dave's mom. Here's some popcorn. Extra butter. She places it on the floor by Dave. Almost immediately, Dave is shoveling popcorn into his mouth. Meanwhile, his mother smiles first at him and then back at you. There's sodas in the kitchen if you get thirsty, she says. And some pizza from the other night if you get hungry. Thank you. She looks at Dave. Your father's gone to bed. I'll be there soon myself. I want you two to keep it quiet, all right? Yes, Mom, Dave says tiredly. Oh, and before I forget, she adds, your uncle called. He suddenly has some business here in town tomorrow. He's driving in early. He'll be here around midnight. For the first time, Dave stops playing his game, stops eating popcorn, and turns to look at his mother. Okay, he says. I want you two to welcome him in. He'll be very tired and very hungry, so offer him something to eat before he goes to bed. Okay, Mom. Good night, kids. And with that, she's gone. Think about Dave's uncle. It began with Mew. You didn't believe him at first when Dave came to school one day and told you he'd finally caught Mew. Prove it, you said. So he pulled out his Game Boy and showed you. There it was. Mew. The 151st Pokemon. Available only to players at promotional events. Somehow unlocked on Dave's game. It's really strong, he said. It KOs every enemy in one hit. Dave demonstrated this claim at recess when you and some other friends linked Game Boys to do battle. You were the first one down. No one else got in a single hit on Dave's Mew. You asked how Dave managed to get it. Oh, my uncle got a job at Nintendo, said Dave. We were walking home together, past one of the construction crews. Dave still lived next door to you at the time. Wait, this couldn't have been too long ago. When did Dave move? There had been a storm not too long ago. Trees were down all over town. Buildings had collapsed. You were standing at an intersection with Dave as a truck rumbled by, loaded up with some ragged tree trunks. What a bad storm. Oh, he also got me this new Game Boy, said Dave, pulling it out of his pocket. You hadn't noticed it earlier, but yes, Dave now had a sleek new Game Boy Color. Until today, he only had one of the old ones. A big gray brick like yours. This one's a special edition, said Dave. Isn't it cool? You agreed. You snap out of your reflections. Go to the bathroom. You head to the bathroom down the hall from the den. There's a shower, a linen closet, and a toilet. Why am I able to... Shower is clean. Toilet. You don't have to go right now. Linen closet, filled with large fluffy towels and washcloths. You're not sure why you're looked in here. What the hell? The clock chimes. You are in the den. It begins raining outside. Ask about Uncle's visit. So why is your uncle coming? Dave shrugs. Business. But I thought he worked for Nintendo. He does, says Dave, frowning but not looking away from the TV screen. He's really important there. Then what does he have to do here? Dave pauses the game and turns to you, visibly agitated. How should I know? I don't work for them. Right now he's not quite yelling, but you think if you keep pressing the subject, he might. Sorry, I was just curious. You drop the conversation in silence. It's 10. Passing through the empty dining room, you enter the kitchen, which is also deserted right now. Fridge. There are a few things in here. Soda. You grab a snack and exit the kitchen. You watch Dave play. Dave invites you over to a game of Mario Kart. Dave wins every round pretty easily, and you start to feel like this was a mistake. He's just too competitive, and frankly, a lot better than you. Good game, he says, smirking. Good game. Ready to try again, Dave asks. Let's switch it up, you say. You've been playing for a while. Remember your own Mew. You got your own Mew, eventually. Another friend had a Game Shark, which you borrowed one day. You spent that entire night unlocking every Pokemon you could obtain in your copy of the game, or you hadn't yet traded for, including Mew. It didn't one-hit KO most enemies. It was incredibly weak. And you shamefully cheated the game further to make it strong enough. It even looked different from Dave's. Your Mew was small, even cute, standing there with round, cheerful eyes. But when Dave had wiped out everyone at school, it had looked completely different. Compact, snarling, fierce. Why did it look different? What, he said? That had been here, in the den. Dave had moved by then. How long was that after the first storm? After he got Mew? You can't remember. Oh, that thing. It had been a while since anyone talked about Pokemon. Well, my uncle got me a special edition Mew, first of all, he said, smirking a little, but not looking away from the PlayStation game he was playing. That's why mine looked different. Second of all, mine can one-hit KO, because that's the real Mew. You asked what he meant by that. Just what I said, Dave replied. You cheated and got a fake Mew, so of course there'd be problems. Glitches and junk. You felt your cheeks redden. But not me, Dave said again. I got the real Mew, and only me. My brother was so jealous. Dave's brother. What about him? Why does remembering that comment make you feel uneasy? You snap out of your reflections. So your uncle stays with you when he comes to visit? Yeah, Dave says nonchalantly. He lives pretty far away, so he just drops by. Isn't that a little weird? Dave gives you a look you don't like very much. How would you know? He asks. You don't even have an uncle. Yeah, I guess so. You drop the conversation in silence. Ask Dave if you think. Do you think this storm will be as bad as the one we had before? I don't know what you're talking about, says Dave. You don't remember? Remember what? The storm. It happened a few weeks ago. It was huge. Dave shakes his head. If it was important, I'm sure I would have remembered it, he says. You fall silent. You grit your teeth. My uncle will be here soon, says Dave, looking at the clock. You knew that, of course. Dave smiles at you. Want to play one more before he gets here? Sure. For a while, quite a while, you half-heartedly wander around a map in GoldenEye while Dave repeatedly headshots you. The clock chimes. You are in the den. The grandfather clock chimes as the hour as Dave suddenly looks up from the N64. It's time, he says. Is your uncle here? Someone knocks at the front door. That's him, says Dave, standing up. I should go let him in. As he leaves the den, you realize you could follow, but part of you really feels like being scarce for a bit. Go to the bathroom. You run down the hall to the bathroom and lock the door behind you. Or at least this could have been a bathroom. The walls are bare and white. There's no sink or toilet. There's some odd featureless white boxes that could stand in for a shower or linen closet. You crawl into the plain white box that is about the size of a linen closet. You close it behind you. From the front of the house, you can hear the front door slam open. After that, you don't hear anything. The rain. No, just the rain. But that voice in the back of your head like, I'm coming for you, child. It's like something you can't even begin to describe. Though you lock the door behind you, you hear it open easily. Something walks in. Close your eyes. You're not exactly sure if something's out there, but you don't exactly hear it moving. You know it's there. And you know it's stopped. Outside your hiding spot. It opens the door and immediately realizes it doesn't have any hands. The fuck is this shit? The uncle who works for Nintendo. The fuck? What is this shit? What is this garbage? There's more endings. I want to get at least one more ending. Maybe it won't be as shit as that one. Mario Kart. Little off my game. Why is your uncle coming? Do you think you've finally done it? Dave stands up, fists clenched at his sides, mouth twisted horribly as he struggles to say something. You watch as he takes a step towards you, and you clench your teeth and wait. Dave darts towards you and pushes you back onto the hardwood floor, cracking your skull against the carpet. You take the initiative and throw a punch before he can get to you again. For a moment, you're shocked at what you've done. He stands there. Gasping in his pajamas, then suddenly, I hate you. You hear something. Think you hear something. And you've fallen flat on the floor. I hate you, says Dave. Leave me alone. Okay. Call your mom. Passing through the empty dining room and enter the kitchen where the phone sits on the counter. Call mom. You dial. She picks up after 3 rings. Things are really weird here. I want to go home, Mom. Okay, she says. I'll call the sitter and tell her to come pick you up. It'll probably be an hour. Is that okay? Can't you make her get here faster? It's not going to happen, honey. Just sit tight. Thank you. Return to the den and pack your things. You're too late. He's here. What is this garbage? Follow. The knocking continues persistently as you follow Dave to the front of the house. Outside the pebbled glass of the front window, you can see a tall, dark shadow. Dave goes to the door, undoes the deadbolt, and cracks it open. You can come in, he says to whoever stands out there on the porch, and then looks over his shoulder at you. Sorry, he says. Before you can ask what there is to be sorry about, the door slams open. Trash. Is the uncle saying trash? Undefined error. Ask questions, have a serious talk, but don't be mean, but still get out of there. Some things, don't remember what you see, learn what you can, then get out of there, and then make what might be the worst decision ever. There are ways to beat the game, and the best endings are legit. I advise you keep at it. Okay. We'll go for one more. Just one more time. Since we already invested this much time into it. So, people are scared by this? Come on. The best endings aren't legit, not worth it. Okay. Let's think about Dave's uncle again. Okay. Final chance to get an ending. What is... Call your mom ASAP. Okay. Okay. Ask about Uncle Dave's uncle. Ask about Dave's uncle. Thought he worked for Nintendo. I think you'll like him. What sort of work does your uncle do? I'm not sure. I believe you about your uncle. I don't believe your uncle works for Nintendo. Clench your teeth and wait. You throw a punch. Take a moment to collect yourself. Call your mom. Call mom. 3 rings. I want to go home. Okay. Gathering your things. What are you doing? Explain that you're leaving. What? Dave stands up, not bothering to pause the game. No, you can't leave. It's almost time. I'm not having fun. But you will, I promise. There's so much stuff I had planned for tonight. I was going to let you play the next Zelda game. The one that's not even out yet. Before you could say anything, he's already running upstairs. Dave continually runs up and down the stairs, bringing you games and consoles while you pack your things. Every time he presents something new, you ignore him or brush it off with an uncaring shrug. Please, Dave says. Just stay the night, please. Outside, you hear a car horn honk. No, you say, with your night bag slung over your one shoulder. You watch. You march to the front door and exit into the night. As you walk to the sitter's car, you see a little sister in the back seat, still in her pajamas. The sitter, a high school girl who lives down the street from you, looks incredibly unhappy to be here, but you think you'll be able to handle her. As you climb into the car, you cast one last look over your shoulder, back to the house. Dave is standing in the doorway, totally still, not screaming, not crying, not doing much of anything. The car begins to pull away from the house as you watch. You see his parents appear in the doorway behind him. Don't wave. Without acknowledging you, Dave's parents lay their hands on his shoulder. They turn Dave back into the house, the door closing just as everything slides out of view. Turn around in your seat to look out the back window. You can't even see the house's lights. Dave doesn't show up at school on Monday, or Tuesday, or Wednesday, or Thursday. On Thursday, you ask your teacher, Mr. Scott, where Dave is. He blinks at you confusedly. Oh, he says eventually. Well, Dave, I'm surprised he didn't tell you about this, but he and his family moved away. The house is empty when you ride your bike by that afternoon. It somehow seems even larger without anyone or anything in it. And for sale sign stands in the yard out front. You never see Dave again, and eventually as the years pass, you forget about him entirely. Oh. Stupid game this is. Okay. Okay, that's enough of that. Let me see something. Uncle who works for Nintendo endings. There's a secret true ending apparently. There's a number of endings. There's actually a YouTube video that has the endings explained. So there's a whole thing where people try to explain these endings. I don't know. Just it's weird. I was expecting something a little bit different than that actually. But that was it. And if you want to see the rest of the endings, you could probably look it up on YouTube. And I don't know, you find out about Dave and his things and a various assortment of other things. But that's just a theory. A shit theory. But hey, it was all right, I guess. Why don't we do some Amazing Island? Okay. Yeah, I was expecting a game like a joke kind of thing about like Dave's uncle giving you like the best shit and all like the new stuff and all these like weird games and like I was expecting descriptions of like a Zelda game that didn't exist. And then I got like a horror game, I guess. I don't know.